You know, when you picture ancient Rome, you probably think of, I don't know, majestic columns, the Colosseum, unstoppable armies, right? But underneath all that impressive civilization, there was a system of justice that was, well, let's just say it was often totally brutal and, honestly, pretty bizarre. So let's dive into the really dark side of Roman punishment.
So you might be thinking, hey, didn't the Romans give us the foundation for our modern laws? And yeah, you're right, they did. But trust me, when it came to certain crimes, their idea of justice was anything but civilized.
Because if you crossed the state, or worse, if you angered the gods, the punishments weren't just about ending a life. Oh no. They were designed to send a message. A horrifying, unforgettable message.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a crime the Romans thought was just about the worst thing you could possibly do. Parricide. That's killing a close family member. And for this one, man, they cooked up a punishment that was truly the stuff of nightmares. They called it pona collai, the penalty of the sack. And believe me, this was hands down the most feared way to die in the entire Roman Empire. So you're probably wondering, why? Let's get into it. Okay, so get this. It was like a recipe for absolute horror. Step 1, you start with a big leather sack. Simple enough. Step 2, you add a dog and a monkey. Step 3, throw in a snake and a rooster for good measure. Step 4, you add the person who's been condemned. And finally, step 5, you sew the whole thing shut and toss it into the nearest river. I mean, can you even begin to imagine the pure terror happening inside that bag? All right, so that's how they dealt with crimes against the family. Now let's switch gears and talk about crimes against the state itself. What happened if you committed treason? Well, the punishment was just as final, but maybe a little more direct. See, at first glance, the punishment for betraying Rome sounds almost simple. Yeah, incredibly straightforward. No weird rituals, no bag full of panicked animals. Nope, you were just flung off the edge of a cliff. Specifically, a cliff that overlooked the city of Rome. A very public, very final way to go. But, and this is a big but, the Romans left nothing to chance. Because, and you got to appreciate the thoroughness here, don't worry if you somehow, by some absolute miracle, managed to survive that enormous fall, well, there were guys waiting at the bottom just to finish the job. There was absolutely no getting away with it. So we've got crimes against your family, crimes against the state. But what about crimes against the gods? Oh yeah, offending the heavens came with its own set of uniquely terrifying punishments. Just look at these two examples. Both are just unbelievably awful. On one hand, if you were a Vestal virgin and broke your sacred oath of celibacy, your punishment was a living burial. They'd seal you in an underground room with just a little bread, some water, and a lamp, and then just leave you there to die. But on the other hand, if you were accused of being a quote-unquote poisonous sorcerer or a Christian woman, your fate was much more of a public spectacle. You'd be tied to a stake and just left for a pack of hungry lions. Two very different but equally horrifying ways to go. Okay, so we've seen punishments for killing your family, for betraying your country, for offending the gods. But what if I told you that the single most dangerous job in all of ancient Rome wasn't being a criminal at all? What if it was being the guy in charge? So I'm going to ask you, what do you think was the most dangerous job in Rome? The most lethal occupation you could possibly have? Go on, take a guess. You're probably thinking gladiator, right? Or maybe a soldier on the front lines. I mean, that makes sense. They're facing death every single day. But you'd be wrong. The real answer is going to surprise you. The clue to this whole thing is the number 30. 30. Why that number? Well, get this. Out of the 33 Roman emperors who were assassinated during their reigns, 30 of them were killed in the exact same way. And this chart really spells it out. A whopping 91%. That's right, 91% of all assassinated emperors died from a dagger. It basically became the unofficial and honestly kind of expected way you got retired from the top job. And that, my friends, is what makes the job of Roman emperor, statistically speaking, one of the deadliest jobs in all of human history. Talk about a corner office with a catch. Ultimate power really did come with the ultimate price. And all of this really leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? When you look at all these incredibly brutal methods, from sacks full of animals to daggers in the Senate, you have to ask yourself, was Roman justice ever really about fairness? Or was it all just about using pure, unforgettable fear to keep everyone in line? It's something to think about.
Like, share, and subscribe our channel.